Right. Hello, hello, Dr. Matt. My name is Haley and I'm with Softwave, yes. And today I am going to be joined by you to kind of go over about our technology and, what providers are seeing in a practice setting when implementing Softwave. And, Dr. Matt, I know that you've become really integral here with Softwave, and you've been one of our leading providers, utilizing the technology and helping to educate hundreds of providers all over the states. And so, really, today we're going to be discussing the science, the applications, the research, and, most importantly, patient outcomes and what it would look like to add this into a practice setting. So, Dr. Matt, thanks for joining us.
Haley, thank you. It's really a pleasure to be on, and I appreciate the invite. So let's get into it, right?
Absolutely.
After being a chiropractor for over 32 years and being in healthcare, I always say that this may be the most versatile device that I've seen in my professional lifetime. And we're going to prove that today. And I love this quote: nothing is more powerful than an idea whose time has come. And Softwave is that device. And we're going to get into it. So, go ahead.
Absolutely. So yeah, just to kind of start everything off, with this first slide here, when providers often say this, when everything else fails, they're calling Softwave, right? And we're going to kind of, jump a little bit into that and, why that is.
Yeah, I mean, this is from an article that I was featured in during COVID, and and really where we built our clinic to 125 to even 140 new Softwave patients a month, and we maintained that for years. And really, what I felt was that Softwave was the Trojan horse to get more people in my community into the seats in my clinic. And literally from the digital marketing and the patient success stories and testimonials, the patients didn't care what kind of doctor I was or what the last two letters behind my name were. All they wanted were the results.
Right.
And listen, this is one of the only shockwave devices on the planet that is both FDA cleared and registered. And we have class one and class two clearance. Class one is for decreasing pain, improving circulation, as well as activation of connective tissue, which is important because that is the fabric of life. And that is the makeup of all of our cells, our nerves, our skin, our bones, even the adipose tissue. So, class two clearance is for wounds, diabetic foot ulcers, burns, and post surgical scars. And it's
Absolutely. And, how long has this technology really been around?
Well, I mean, the technology's been around for over 40 years, right? This is genuine lithotripsy, but this is a fourth generation. So it's the same technology they've used to break up kidney stones and biliary stones with an 85% success rate. This is really a new twist on an old technology using non-invasive supersonic sound waves to help heal the body from within.
Great, that's awesome. So we'll go ahead and move here to the next slide. Just kind of talking about, does Softwave really work? I think is a lot of, concerns that maybe some providers have, but also just, in the shockwave therapy industry in general, we're kind of in that early adopter stage, what would you say to these practitioners that are kind of, wary about taking on a modality like extracorporeal shockwave therapy, but more specifically Softwave?
Yeah, I mean, you hear me on this call on calls all the time. I mean, so many people think this is the green rush for healthcare with adding shockwave, but oftentimes it becomes a green flush where doctors are literally losing money. So you have to be very careful with which company you let into your office. And really, what I loved most is that we had over 200 peer-reviewed studies from 98 different universities globally. Um, Softwave and MTS combined have spent over $25 million on research and development. We also have over 40 patents. But I love the quotes from Dr. Martin O'Malley and some of his research. He's the foot and ankle specialist for the NFL, NBA, PGA, and NHL. And he showed 65 to 91% patient satisfaction and success with musculoskeletal and sports type injuries.
That's
And
really fantastic. I know Dr. Martin O'Malley is definitely one of your favorites, and he's really pushing it in the orthopedic, field of medicine, and we're just kind of seeing, new increases in research and outcomes just on a daily basis. So that's fantastic that, you've been
yeah,
able to kind of have a personal connection.
and Dr. O'Malley, I love his quote. He's like, I'm not here to discuss and debate who's got the best shockwave. All I can tell you is I have three soft waves, and I've done the same. So he's been a great mentor and someone who has changed healthcare, right? And
Absolutely.
that's, we're only on this planet for a short time. And when you can make such a significant impact as he has and helped us get this in now over 44 professional sporting teams and over 2,700 clinics in North America. Like we stand on the shoulders of people like Dr. O'Malley.
Absolutely. Great. Well, we'll
The,
go
the
ahead
thing,
and
yeah, the thing I love also about this is that it is, I refer out less. I take care of more difficult cases. And this, I think you're going to show an example of what the electrohydraulic system is all about. And really, there's a spark plug, and the Germans call this the spark of life. And then you're going to see water surrounding it. That spark plug, that electrode, will typically fire a supersonic sound wave traveling 767 miles per hour. But when you
and
put
correct me.
water around it, it magnifies it by fivefold.
I was
So
going to
go
say,
ahead.
correct me if I'm wrong, the Softwave device is also creating a primary and a secondary shockwave.
That's right. We're the only shockwave device on the planet that has both a primary and secondary. And the researchers say that a lot of the positive biological effects that we're going to go over a little later are coming from that secondary wave. So go ahead and just show that.
Nice. Let's get that playing.
Here it comes. Can you put your sound up? I guess there's no sound with that. But it's
Yeah, it
you
has a
see,
little spark
yeah.
sound there.
So you'll see as it fills up with water, and I call this can penetrate 10 to 12 centimeters into the biological tissue. And that whole blue zone, I call it this zone of healing because it can penetrate so deep into the body. And that red area, yellow, that's where the magic is happening. So great. Let's go to the next slide.
Absolutely.
So John Boone is the one who said, when all else fails, we turn to Softwave. And he's been so great at sharing. He's had a sports medicine and regeneration for the Miami Dolphins. He's given us numerous referrals to other pro and college teams, which I'm very grateful for. And you see on the left, um, you know, John Mullins, Dr. Mullins, our medical director, helped us get us into the Atlanta Braves, and this is when they won the NL East a couple years ago, and they swore they were like Ronald Acuna Jr. loved it. I remember after the first weekend, they had a line waiting out the door, and Johnny, the trainer, the head trainer, said to me, he's like, "We're gonna need a second,
Oh
right?"
man.
In the middle, you're gonna see us working on one of the Miami Dolphins and what happened. He's actually the equipment manager, but this got over 2.3 million views. And for a guy like me, who's ADHD and dyslexic, right? Um, Now becoming a consultant to the NFL and NBA and NHL, it's not because of me, it's because of this technology and the results. So let's go ahead and click that. And this is, he hadn't been able to move his left thumb over opposing. As far as this one goes, this is before treatment. Yep. Okay, open it up, close it again.
Oh, let's see. Sorry about that.
I think it's behind it. Yeah, something's behind it. You, the one's showing. All right. Well, how'd you do that?
Your Dr. Matt.
Say,
Sorry. The first video here is not
that's
playing
okay.
for me.
There it is.
This is the kind of the immediate
And if he can't move his hand any better, then just delete this.
Okay, let's see here. All right, so let's get
You just
these.
got to move that one out of the way. I think there
All
it
right,
is.
there we go. Sorry about that.
And if he can't move his hand any better,
So I know this is a little bit of after you're treating, and he essentially hurt his hand from,
yep,
blowing up
watch
a
this.
tire.
So look, he can move it. He is able to oppose his thumb both sides now. You know how much better you're going to be able to text from here on out?
That's honestly a fantastic video to share. I think it's really important for, providers to understand, what does it mean for organizations like the Dolphins and the Braves and the Steelers to, adopt this technology for their teams, for their athletes.
Well, you know, you're going to see a little picture of Dr. James Bradley, team physician for 35 years for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I remember after the first 2 months of him having it, he was like, "Duro, I've never seen anything work better. It's better than dry needling, cold lasers, ultrasound." And I said, "Yeah, Doc, can I quote you on that?" And he goes, "No, this is our secret weapon." So they were the first in the NFL. But let's go on to the next slide and really kind of see the patient results, right? If patient safety and results are what matters, then we have no competition, right? We have the class two
Absolutely.
clearance. The FDA labels this technology a non-significant risk because there's little to low side effects. And this is just one session. This is a gentleman, Mr. Frankie Smith, who had a stroke over 20 years ago. He was a bus driver for 27 years for the Port Authority of New York and basically
Wow.
drove with one hand. And
Wow.
this is after his retirement, came down to Atlanta, where we focus on chemo, diabetic, and peripheral neuropathy. And go ahead and play it because, you know, can't describe it. Words can't describe what we see here. Mr. Smith, why you got your hand like that? What's going on? Tell me.
Yeah, I just had a similar.
You had the shockwave treatment, yeah. What about and the lights? What did you think?
I thought it was very good.
How come? Tell me what's different about your hand.
I can move it, open it up all the way like
How long has it been since you've been able to do that?
20 years.
20 years. Miss Smith, is this true? Yeah. So, I mean,
Wow.
the guy looks like a young kid at Christmas Day. He's so happy.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I mean,
so
that's a tremendous difference.
And what made me somewhat of an influencer in this emerging market is that, I would come home from work and I'm like, honey, incredible today. This lady was pushed in a wheelchair. And then after we worked on her, she pushed her husband out. And my wife would say, did you videotape it? And I'm like, no. She goes, well, no one's going to believe you. So that's when I started videotaping it and now have thousands of real live testimonials of one visit after one visit with Softwave, that's 3 to 5 minutes is not a lot. And, you can look on the TikToks, my YouTube, my social media, you'll see them. And I keep producing them. And I really felt like if I could show basically what would be considered a medical miracle every week, every other day, that mainstream media would find us and we'd be on the Today Show or CNN, but that hasn't happened yet. It's not
Heck,
about who's
we've
got,
been on Fox 5.
oh, that's true. And we've been on the show, The Doctors, but it's not about who's got the most efficient and effective device.
Right.
It's about who can put as much marketing and we're going up against the pharmaceutical industry that spends $9 billion a year marketing to you, the consumer, on which drug you should take and ask your doctor for this drug. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Absolutely.
So, when I got with Softwave in 2017, they had an identity crisis. No one knew who they were or what we did. And with our patient success stories, we were able to tell the story of Softwave and a proven technology trusted by Harvard, Georgetown, Piedmont Hospital. We were on the show The Doctors, the PGA, NFL, NBA, Mayo Clinic. So, I mean, you have a good history. We're not some one hit wonder that just popped up on the scene like many of these other so-called pain waves.
Absolutely. And would you say, over the time of us being partnered with these medical centers, is there any specific research or any particular study that has really, stood out to you?
I mean, it all started with um, pelvic floor and men's erectile dysfunction. And the thing that I love is even after 9 years, every other month we find a new condition that can benefit from Softwave, because this is helping modulate inflammation from both an innate immune response as well as a physical, mechanically flushing out that inflammation. And inflammation is really the next big conversation. Inflammation is part of all disease process and aging. So if you find something that can unlock that that secret weapon to help modulate inflammation, then that's why we become so important. And really, in my clinic, I can't imagine ever practicing without it. I mean, if I feel like it gives me superpowers. Okay,
Yeah,
next slide.
absolutely. And so here are a few of our sports teams, WWE, UFC. I mean, it's amazing
The thing I
how
love is that,
widespread this is.
yeah, this is NHL, all the teams. You can find one of your favorite teams there. And this continues to grow. Detroit Lions just got one the other day, the Utah Mammoths. And we're not marketing to them. The players are the ones. This is very consumer driven. Every month we have over 70,000 patients searching for find a software provider near me, right? They're not looking for the other
Absolutely.
groups. So I think that's huge. Thank you. Next slide.
Absolutely. And yeah, here's a little bit of a throwback for you with some of your
Yeah, Jim Maurer, Dallas Cowboys, one of my favorite teams since I was a young man.
yes.
And I get to talk with him during the season. He invites us to the training camp every year out in Oxnard, California. Graham McDowell, who was a U.S. Open champion and in the Olympics for the Ireland, just amazing. These guys love it. So
Awesome.
yeah, just a few. You
Great.
know, Martin O'Malley, I love this quote. If you're doing sports medicine in this era, you need this technology in your clinic. I mean, Kevin Durant,
And
uh, Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton, all of these who've had Achilles tears in the last few years, they get on a plane and they fly to New York City to hospital for a special surgery, and O'Malley does it. And he actually has one of our devices in his OR. So he'll
wow.
do the first soft wave right in there after they've sewed it up, and he'll do it for a couple treatments after. So, it's a proven modality. This is his. The OrthoGold machine produces true medical shock waves that induce an appropriate biological response. And that's what we're looking for. Not all these knockoffs are true shock waves. So there's a
Right.
lot of predatory behavior. You have to be careful.
Absolutely. And would you say, in this type of sports setting, can you use soft wave, pre-surgically, post-surgically? What types of applications are you utilizing this for?
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of players, it's for recovery. Some of the top players like LeBron James use this before games and after, and during the playoffs. Not that they made it too far in, but they used it at halftime. The NFL, the last four teams in the playoffs all had Softwave, and it's a way for them to extend their season and also keep their players in check and
Yeah,
on the
and
field.
motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in good health. That's awesome. So now we're just gonna kind of get into, the biological effects of soft wave and, really how we differ. So what is actually happening biologically when soft wave is applied to a patient?
So those supersonic sound waves trigger that immune response where your body is like, wait a second, we're getting hit by supersonic sound waves, and they send out all their first responders, like the repair cells and helper cells and stem cells. And it tricks the body into thinking there's a new injury without damaging tissue. That's what's important. And
Gotcha.
there are now over 30 papers that show these stem cells are called into action almost immediately. And, you know, again, I believe, as well as um, Dr. Hofeld, who's a cardiothoracic surgeon, he believes that with this, modulating inflammation from both an innate immune response, but also from that mechanical physical response of flushing it out of there, that's where we're getting the real, the near immediate results patients are seeing. Improves blood supply. 10 to 12 weeks after, there is neovascularization, which is new blood supply, and helps reduce pain at the source. So if someone has a degenerative knee at grade 3, nearing bone on bone, as they like to say, this isn't going to go in and reverse the degeneration, but what it is going to do is help flush out that inflammation that's been really the main culprit of a lot of the pain and suffering that patient has. So again, it accelerates the body's natural healing ability, and this is why it's been so popular and why we have it in over 3,000 clinics across the world.
And because, we're not creating that micro trauma essentially to the tissue being treated, you know, what kind of, tough areas are we able to treat on that you wouldn't normally see with another shockwave therapy device?
Yeah, I mean, it's so a lot of those radial devices are ballistic in nature and pound on tissue and create trauma. Ours, there's no trauma. We skip the radial pulse waves that are anywhere from 1,200 to $20,000 are actually causing trauma. They're only going into the skin superficially, and they create what's called cytotoxicity, which is death of cell. And then they start the angiogenesis. We skip all that. We go from stimulating stem cells to healing and no damage. So that's a great question, though.
Awesome. And so now we're just kind of getting into, what Softwave treats. I know we already kind of went over, different tendinopathies, different musculoskeletal conditions, whether that be in sports medicine, orthopedics, or just, your everyday inflammation and pain. And then anything that you'd like to hit on wound care, anything like that.
Well, I believe, our founder, John Warlick, said that we would help thousands of people avoid amputation. And his vision is now coming true.
And we'll see that here
Yeah,
soon.
yeah. And here's the thing that I say, there is a diagnostic component to this, meaning when you run this over normal tissue, normal joints, there's no discomfort. As soon as you run it over an area where there's arthritis, inflammation, poor circulation, torn ligament, the patient has a response, a biofeedback response where they're like right there. And it helps you pinpoint where the true source of the pain is coming from. And I think that's why the pro teams love it the best, is because they don't have to do an MRI of the shoulder and elbow and the hand. They can scan it with our Softwave and really find out what spot lights up, where's the most therapeutic discomfort. And I love the fact that I can qualify a patient within 5 minutes at my clinic, right? If they come in and they have their chief complaint and I map out that whole shoulder and I can't really find any hot spots or trigger points, they're not
Right,
candidates. And
right.
we developed this where patients are able to come in and experience this for $49. Who doesn't have $50 to find out if this new technology, this futuristic therapy, can help their problem?
Absolutely agree.
So bone pathologies, the Austrian workers' comp system, who's had our technology in 11 trauma centers for over 20 years, they've estimated we saved their country over 70 million euros
Wow.
with non-healing wounds and fractures.
Wow. Wow. That's fantastic. I mean, it's such a, new type of modality here in the United States, but I mean, the more providers that are utilizing this for, different conditions are really seeing some great success with wound care and healing and things like that as well. So that's awesome.
The first 10 months that I was marketing and helping sell Softwave, I had 110 doctors say no to me.
Wow.
And they'd say, Duro, if this is good as you say it is, why isn't it everywhere? And I'm like, yeah, that's our mission. Like,
That's
we're
our
on a
mission.
mission to end pain and suffering for millions of people without drugs, without cortisone injections, without surgery, without joint replacements. And
Absolutely.
people have bought into that, right? They don't buy into a device. They buy into the people that are on that mission to change healthcare. And let's face it, Our healthcare system is broken in so many ways. And this is a great opportunity for people to avoid cortisone, which has 33 negative side effects, avoid opioids, which we have over 1,000 people per week dying of prescription drug medication, right? There's a war on drugs, a war on pain, and we're losing it. And this is our secret weapon to help bring a little bit of relief into those 2,700 communities across North America. I've
Absolutely.
gone over this. A lot of this is plasma generated sound waves. So all our competitors, they're limited in the materials they're using to create sound waves.
Mhm.
And basically, those sound waves that are able to penetrate the depth 10 to 12 centimeters into the body are working on a cellular level. And we're going to see that in just a minute.
Absolutely. Let's see here.
This is Professor Everett Rogers. It's called the diffusion model, and this is for all new technologies and how they are adopted. And as you see, the early innovators are the chiropractors who have been, the majority of bringing this in, but we're seeing a lot of physical therapists, medical doctors, orthopedists. I just did a little hospital in Charlottesville yesterday. Dr. Scott Wagner and his team, amazing what they've done and how they've implemented this. But as you can see, we're only at the first part. Okay. We've been around for 20 years and we're just starting to tap into this. But you can see, I made I made a prediction 8 years ago. I said there will be two types of clinics in the future, those who have Softwave and those who don't. And those who don't get it, they're going to be antiquated like a flip phone from 2008, right? They were cool, you could text, but they're not like a smartphone. And I feel that's the same way what I've seen over the last decade in our clinic.
Yeah,
Now, the
absolutely.
laggards here, you see, they're the ones that are just getting flip phones,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, and I mean, as of recent, I feel like, the market for Shockwave has really started kind of, ramping up. Why do you think that is?
It's the patient results. It's the
Mhm.
predictable patient outcomes. And it doesn't matter if I'm in Santa Cruz, California, uh, Tupelo, Mississippi, or Geneva, New York, where we first placed it in my original office. It doesn't matter. People get better. And I just have the saying, just add humans. As long as you have a practice and you have people walking through, people are going to see results.
That's great. So we'll move on here. We have, like I said, this really big growing network, kind of just looking into all the different states and, different types of providers that are implementing this into their practice. Why are, so many different specialties using Softwave, just besides the versatility? Would you say in their practice? I know we've been around here in the US for over 20 years, and really what's creating us as a staple in the market right now.
Well, it's affordable, right? I say this in the hands of chiropractors makes us a non-invasive orthopedist with a focus on regenerative healing. So
Hmm.
you don't have to buy some exosomes or stem cells for $5,000, inject them. We don't even know where they're coming from,
Hmm.
right? Inject them into the body, and it's a crapshoot, right? It's a 50-50 chance. And I always thought regenerative medicine may be the future of healthcare, but right now it's the future for A-list celebrities, multimillionaires, and professional athletes because they're the only ones that can risk losing a $5,000 or $7,000, one and done shot. I think that this offers true regenerative options for the working class person at a fraction of the cost. And typically, they only need a handful of sessions to get optimal results in healing. Not only does this get your patients well, transform your practice in your community, but it also makes you financially very stable. My clinic, I have each of my devices, we have two devices, each does about 32,000 a month. So
Wow.
that's not bad. Getting to help people, that's why we got into this. And in
Hmm.
fact, as a chiropractor, I was somewhat limited in conditions. I could never work on like bursitis of the hip. Right? Intercostal neuralgia, shin splints, turf toe, plantar fasciitis, epicondylitis, anything ending in itis,
Right.
arthritis. Basically 2/3 of your patients that are walking through your clinic have it. So it checks all the boxes. Again, in 32 years, I've never seen anything with a higher patient case acceptance. Yeah, I'm just, obviously we're very passionate about it. We love it. Um, and again, I've been approached by dozens of other devices to come rep. And honestly, if I found something better, I'd be there. But
Yeah.
after 10 years, I keep comparing every competitor to Softwave and nothing compares.
Yeah, and I mean you're in the top 3% of the providers that have Softwave across the US, and it's really differentiating your practice and the services that you're able to offer patients without having to be invasive.
Yeah, Atlanta is like there's two more chiropractors in every corner. And how do I stand out? It was because of Softwave, right?
Mm.
And how did we generate over 100 new patients a month for, the last 5 years? It's because the results and people, my Softwave patients refer 2 to 3 times more than my chiro patients.
Mhm.
And what's unfortunate in chiropractic, only about 12% of the population will even visit a chiropractor or even consider.
Mhm.
And this has just boosted our clinic's Wi-Fi. I mean, again, the people don't care what kind of doctor I am. They just want the results they're seeing. And our social media and digital marketing is just stellar, right? Not only do we have the best Shockwave device, but we also have a productivity and profitability increasing system for your clinic. And many of my doctors are duplicating their income. All right, let's go to the next slide.
Yeah.
So, what's holding you back, right? After I've talked to over 6,000 doctors over the last 9 years, and they all have the same fears, right? Am I going to have enough money to retire? Am I going to have enough money to send my kids to college? For me, I have 3 daughters, so like getting them all married and weddings. Um, but truly, this is recession proof, right? It's pandemic proof.
Mhm.
During COVID, our clinic doubled, tripled. We built the first $1 million clinic um, from August of 2020 to 2021.
Wow.
And it was because of the patients and the results. So
Yeah.
refer out less, take care of more difficult cases, and have happy, satisfied patients send you more people.
Yeah, and I know, because Softwave is, relatively new and, really working its way into the market, what would you say to those providers that have never offered cash-based services at their practice and, they don't think that their patients are willing to pay for a service like this?
They are. And if you're not offering it, they're going to a clinic with Softwave to get it.
Hmm.
I mean, it's as simple as that. It works, and people's biggest fear is, oh, the money.
Hmm.
Oh my God, it costs too much. Our competitors say it. Listen, the only way to grow your clinic is a couple of ways. You increase your marketing, send your team to coaching and consulting, um, expand your hours. But really, it's investing in this type of technology and Softwave that can really you become a magnet in your community for people that want non-invasive, non-drugs, non-cortisone, and they don't want to have a joint replacement when they're 35. You know,
Absolutely.
this has been the cherry on top for me and allowed myself and my wife to create a financial legacy. Buy the beach house that we wanted, go on the vacations
Hmm.
that we always dreamed of, and still helping people. And the best thing is, my clinic is running right now, helping people, and I don't have to be there. 75% of our follow-up treatments are done by RCA or a licensed massage therapist that we have. So
Hmm.
that's the stuff. I mean, yeah, many of these docs are like, oh, will it work? Is it going to happen? Yes, we have a 99.9% stick rate. So you want to be in that part. And the only reason it doesn't work is the 5.5 inches between your ears, your brain. right? And doctors have to get out of that area where like, oh, I don't want to spend this much money. And what they do is they make the mistake of buying a cheaper knockoff version, and then they just wasted $25,000,
And I
right?
mean, what would you say to those providers that, they're too busy to take on a modality like this, or they're not busy enough?
Yeah,
What
well,
would you
let's
say to
start with the
that?
too busy. Dr. Kale Matovich, who saw 500 patients a week in Calgary, city of a million people. And for a year and a half, I was like, Kale, you are going to love this. This is an amazing technology. But he was already making so much money and thought he was helping so many people. And then when he finally put it in, boom, his clinic exploded even bigger. And he has had it for 2 years and averages over 40,000 a month,
Wow.
$480,000 a year for 2 years. And he's opened up 7 other locations. And within 3 months, each one of those are doing 33,000 a month. And
Wow.
he didn't know. He's like, Matt, it was like you lifted a veil off my head to realize the true amount of healing that can happen when you get that trigger that innate immune response and let the body heal the way it's supposed to.
Absolutely. And, just to touch on again, what would you say to those providers that feel like they're not busy enough to implement Softwave to their practice?
Listen, there's nobody coming to save you, right? You've got to do it yourself, and there comes a time in life where you just have to take the dive and you know, take that
Take
take
that
that first
initiative.
step. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And it starts, I mean, it's simple. It's very user friendly. We I've personally trained on site over 400 clinics. This is one of them. Back to Strength. This is Dr. Nick Moore out in Eugene, Oregon. And just what an amazing, I mean, he's like the first one in Eugene. And
Mhm.
I mean, he's doing, I don't know, 7 to 10 new patients a week, right? I mean, what did you get into this for? To help people, right? And you don't just put a shingle out and hope people are going to come to see you because you're now a doctor. No, you have to find ways to excite the people in your community to take action.
Mhm.
So this certification, we start with a basic certification. From the time you order it, we get you a basic uh, training. And then within 7 to 10 days of you receiving the advice, we do a launch day. So we come out and we ask you to line up 10 to 12 of your worst patients. And these are people who have been so loyal to you over the last few years, who have underlying conditions that modern medicine and conservative care hasn't been able to fix. So it could be, Grandma Smith with carpal tunnel failed surgery, or, Uncle Bob with bone on bone knee. We put them in every 15 minutes and we show you just how quickly and efficient this works. And it gets your whole team involved, right? Because when they see like Grandma Smith, who hasn't been able to walk without a cane for the last 2 years, and all of a sudden she walks out with no cane. Wait till you see the one we did in Charlottesville. Amazing. This lady Elizabeth. She was so mean and because she was in so much pain. And then she got off the table and was able to walk without her walker.
Wow.
And you could see her face just light up and just the pain had melted away. That's what it's about,
Yeah.
gentlemen,
Yeah, I
folks.
mean, it is truly amazing to, be able to implement something like this to a practice, but also for it to be so, seamless in the implementation process. And I guess some things that I often hear from providers is what kind of ongoing support is there, if they're not able to, meet that initial 90-day jump start at their practice with Softwave, what kind of ongoing support would you say has been beneficial for you? Utilizing Softwave at your practice.
Well, a couple things, right? They didn't just sell me a box. They helped, my success was their success, and it branched off into thousands of other sales. The 90-day challenge is what helps base it all. That's something, Haley and I don't just sell you a device. We're there and work you through and get your training day and launch day set up. And I would say close to 50% of my doctors are able to generate enough to pay this off within the first 90 to 110 days. And as a special, anyone watching this, If you track your numbers for those first 3 months and you generate enough to pay off your device, whichever one you pick, then we will give you $1,000 in Softwave bucks to use towards our swag, pop-up banners, anything. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
I believe elevating your practice to levels we haven't seen, right? Increasing revenues between 20 and 40,000. Obviously, it's population dependent. I mean, I love Dr. Jeff May. We may see him in a second, but
Mhm.
he's the biggest chiropractor in the smallest town in America. 6,000 people in East Jordan, Minnesota, and he's done $200,000 a year for the last 4 years.
Wow.
So, it's a 10-minute treatment. Give us 10 minutes, we'll give you your life back. Expand your services, treat more difficult cases, become more proficient, and refer out less.
Yeah.
Um, and be the first in your area, right? It's tough, but there's still some. And we have this saying, you have to feel it to heal it.
Hmm.
And the patient, they love that, right? Because they notice within that first session the improvements. And the Elizabeth lady yesterday, she's like, "How long is this going to last?" And I go, "Well, it only lasts if you pay."
And I mean, that's a really great, interaction that you had and, kind of patient testimonial towards that. And I guess one concern that I do hear a lot from providers are, they're worried about, hey, what if the other chiropractor right down the road gets a soft wave? They're worried about competition,
Yeah.
they're worried
Listen,
about that.
Atlanta is 7 years ahead of everybody else. There are 75 devices around Metro Atlanta, plus my two. And I was the first, and I don't have a poverty mentality. I want people to have access to this. I want to elevate our healthcare from bad to good, and I think this is one of the tools. So you can't worry about that. I mean, um,
Absolutely.
we still do, 75 to 90 new patients a month, and it's fine that we get to share this wealth and healing with so many other people. And again, I think there's like 5 stages of kind of enlightenment, right? The first one, when you start looking at Softwave, is like, this can't be true. You're skeptical. Then you get a treatment, or your patient gets a treatment, and they come back and like, oh my God, it's amazing. And then you got to go try it. And then you become a believer. And then what happens is they're like, once they get in their office, they're like, how can I get just this region, right? How can I keep anybody else, right? They're very protective. And then you get to this state of enlightenment where I call it nirvana and altruism, where you just want this technology everywhere. And that's where I've been at the last 5 or 6 years. And just want to share what we've seen around the country with other doctors. But great question.
Absolutely. Thanks for touching on that. So yeah, now we're just kind of getting into some of the success stories with Softwave. I know you have a lot of personal connections with a lot of the doctors here. And yeah, if you want to touch on a little bit about that and,
Yeah,
what they've
Dr.
seen.
Dr. George, lower right corner. I mean, he's bought two more devices. He paid off his first device in the first 9 days of owning it. Dr. Todd Boggs, 64,000 in the first 7 weeks.
Wow.
Above Dr. Todd, Dr. Sue, done over $2 million. Dr. Scott's done in just the last 3 years, 1.9 million. Dr. Kyle, who's also one of our top national educators and trainers, he did 357 in his first year. Dr. Jeff, we already talked about, and Dr. Ashlyn Gazarowski was both the first in Illinois and then moved to Nebraska and was the first in Nebraska. He and his lovely wife, Dr. Ashlyn and Kaylin. So they did 11,000 in the first day. And in the last 3 years, did over 1 million. So they have multiple devices now. And
And
let's
and
just go.
what I was
Yeah.
just gonna say too, what would you say, really makes these providers, what do they share in common? Why have they been so successful with Softwave?
Take no credit, take no blame, right? It's like you let the body do the healing. And this incredible futuristic device, it just helps stimulate that healing, even in chronic injuries. Here's the numbers. Like Dr. Kyle was one of the first to do our 90-day challenge, right? And you could see that He just missed. Well, I know he did pay it off in the first 90, but you could see the 356,000 he did, and he's gone up from there. Um, so yeah, I mean, over the next 5 years, he'll do close to 2 million. There we are.
Wow.
There we are. So Dr. Mike Southwick did 25,000 in his first day. Jeff May was his trainer. Dr. Stacy and Dr. Nate really hold the record in the first 70 days, 122,000. Just amazing, right? I talk about the return on impact in your community as well as the
Right.
return on investment.
Hmm.
And, we just, again, we're on a mission and we work for one of the best companies in the world. And I'm just so grateful that we have this opportunity to share this.
Yeah, that's one of the first things that I think when I met you in that photo, that you were saying, really focusing on a return of impact on your community, which I think is so important. So many providers, I feel like, have been really focused on their investment and,
Or the
how
price,
they
how
can better
much
their
it is.
practice. Exactly.
Yeah. And I
But
always
really, it's
say,
about these stories,
yeah,
what really builds your character and your reputation in the area.
I always say, um, let's not focus on how much it is. Like they're always like, how much is it? I'm like, let's think about how much of an impact you're going to make first, right? It makes
Absolutely.
your decision to invest in something like this a lot easier. So again, people don't get behind movements, they get behind people that are passionate about making an impact. And I need an army of providers just like you to help us elevate our healthcare to levels we haven't seen in over 100 years. I'll show you why, providers are the perfect partners to bring the supernatural healing to the masses. And I think that really sums it up. I mean, is there any devices we're going to go over? Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So this is just kind of addressing that big question, right? That providers have, ROI. They want to know what's the price and, why does Softwave make financial sense?
yeah, I mean, we have an array of different models, right? From the Corolla, the Li 200, all the way up to the self-driving Tesla, okay, and the Supermax. Um, and we can find which one's going to be best suited for your community and your practice. I mean, the most popular one is the Li 500. It's our most efficient and effective device. And, understanding these options. This is really a capital investment. It's the gift that keeps on giving. I called it the golden goose because, any business that you can pay off in the first year, which the majority of our doctors are able to do this, this becomes the golden goose. And every day it plops out a $1,200 golden egg, right? Just by having it. So that's what we've seen. We have a wonderful offer right now. The first 6 months, it's $99. It gives you a great ability to ramp this up for $594 out of pocket. You saw Dr. Kyle Bowers did, close to $75,000 in those first 3 months. That rate of return is like a 30,000% rate of return on his $594. So it's
Right.
like it's like buying Amazon in 1998 if you had a chance. And this is our opportunity in healthcare to obviously make a good impact.
And what would you say, the differences are between these models?
It's just longevity of that spark plug, right? And so the Li 200 has 400 treatments per applicator. The Li 350 has 700. The Softwave Li 500 has 1,000, and then the Max has basically 2,000 treatments. So again, let's specifically look at the Li 500 though, if we can. And understanding this investment, it comes with two brand new applicators that are $7,000 a piece. That's part of your, cost. It's already included, plus two refurbishments. Those are 3,000 a piece, so it's a $20,000 value. And what each applicator is worth, I mean, if you're charging $150 a session, each probe's going to make you 150,000 times four, it's $600,000 ROI, which
Wow.
is a 7.5 to 1 return on investment.
And that pricing is sometimes depicted by, your demographic, maybe what type of audience you're seeing, things like that. Do you ever, run into any issues there, or does really having that introductory pricing, really get them into starting their treatment process?
Yeah, I mean, that $49 introductory offer really helps us find out if they qualify for this therapy and if they're a candidate. But again, pricing, you know, this is it's usual and customary on your area. It might be $125 per session in some areas. It might be 100. Out in California, it's 200, 250. So we
Right.
trying to give usual and customary. But that 7-to-1 return on investment is stellar, and that's why doctors pick this one over everybody, all the
I
other
mean,
competitors.
yeah, the sports teams have
This is the Pro Series. This is what I really call the Pro Series. Well, great, Haley. It's been wonderful. Oh, everything. Wait a second.
we got
There's
one more.
more. But wait, there's
Yeah.
more.
So we're
Um,
just kind of getting into the savings of, becoming a provider, purchasing one of these devices, really what's included, right? You want to not just own the device, but also have that additional, security with a warranty, getting your ability to have on-site training, your Section 179 tax savings because we are a Class 2 cleared device. We're able to, implement a whole different range of savings for a provider looking to implement this, compared to other
yeah,
market
I
companies on
have
the market.
I have 12 of these devices, and every time I buy a new one, I get a tax saving of $27,000. My CPA is like, listen to the government. If they tell you to buy specific things and they'll give you credit for it, that's a plus. So
Absolutely.
again, on-site training, all of this is included. First month of digital marketing, and we also have 3 to 6 month deferred payment options. So whatever you choose. I love the positive biological effects. Basically, wherever you place this on the human body, you can see it. So, yeah, I mean, look at this one lady's patients, Miss Carol. She would fly down from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania once a month for the first 3 months. And this is the type of results she got. And this is working on a cellular level. This on the left, the mitochondrial, which you see the green one, is under an electron microscope, and it literally is producing what's called ADP, adenine diphosphate, which is a weaker level. And then this is 10 minutes after Softwave, and now it's at ATP, adenine triphosphate, which is the most efficient way for the mitochondrial to produce energy and utilize oxygen.
About 10
So
minutes is incredible.
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
it.
that's
So
life-changing.
it's beautiful. So I mean, it has an antimicrobial,
Matt, you
antibacterial.
wanted to find out how this.
I like this. Put that. This is great.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we got some provider testimonials here.
I love this thing.
A few months ago, I became aware of this amazing TRT Softwave device, and it has absolutely transformed my life and my business.
So I want to thank Matt
Josh
DeDoro
X.
and Tissue Regeneration, Regenerative Technologies for allowing me to use this machine. And again, I've seen really good results.
This device, hands down, is the best thing I have ever done. I mean, I wish I knew about this like 20 years ago if it was available.
If you are hesitant with regards to purchasing this,
I like this one.
I can say to you, out of 24 years of practice, I don't want to look back, but I'm very disappointed we didn't have this from the start.
It's been a year since we had our
Scott Kramer.
technology added to our family office. And I thought we'd give you a little testimony about how it's been going last year. You want to say something first off with it?
It's been great. Through the years, hesitate to use the word miracle, but miracle after miracle of patients doing so much better.
I have seen this device help bust through chronic pain, either old pain or new pain. I have had people who were vaccine injured and couldn't hardly walk on their ankle to walking with ease. I've seen pain from a car accident 10 years ago, a gal living with a pain of 8 out of 10 every day of her life for the past 8 years. Now she lives with a pain of maybe a 1 or a 2.
It's free.
Yeah, I mean, how fantastic
I
is
mean, we
that,
have
Dr. Matt?
doctor after doctor. This one's amazing. But listen, I love it. I'm so grateful that we had this time together, and I will send this. It's getting started is very easy. It's easy as one, two, three. You know,
Mhm.
you send Haley or me the name of your clinic and address. We put together an invoice, and then we send you the financial app. Takes about um, 3 minutes to fill out, and typically by the next day before lunch, we know. Once you're approved, device is delivered within 10 to 14 days. And then typically within a week, we have our on-site trainer who comes in to help you launch this. And we typically are going to generate between $4,000 and $9,000 on that launch day. So listen, incredible. I think this year is the year that you do it, right? Stop thinking about it, start taking action and really making a change both in your practice and your community.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Matt. We appreciate your insight. And I got your Instagram, I got your TikTok, your YouTube. So if you guys want to go and check out some additional videos and, provider testimonials, patient testimonials, they're all going to be there.
Perfect. Thank you. And I give you credit for putting this together. It was a great idea what you decided to do. Thank you.
Love it. Thanks, Dr. Matt.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.